Glenn Jennings here, FightHype.com on location in Orlando, Florida. What are we now, Glenn? 3 days out from the fight.
Yes,
early media
days.
commitments in the week before we start firing up. First and foremost, how has camp been? And then obviously your arrival into Orlando, Florida straight after the hurricane.
Yeah, 3 days, mate. It's good to see all the media starting to roll up and starting to get that fight vibe feel around the resort here. The camp's been terrific. It's been a long camp for Tim, as you know. We started camp with Ortiz and we rolled out of that into this. So I think it's been really well managed from Igor and the crew in Vegas. And as of today, Tim's just in a great place. So we're really positive and confident that he'll take care of the business Saturday night, and we look forward to taking that belt back to Australia.
I don't really want to talk about the last fight. We've spoken so much about it. We move on. We look forward to the future. But what have you seen different in Tim this camp off the back of, look, on paper it was a loss. To the boxing world it was a warrior effort. There was some unfortunate circumstances. What have you seen personally in Tim that's been different for you in this camp?
I think that the resounding thing that's come out of the Fundora fight was that most athletes would consider it a loss. Tim didn't. Tim considered it an opportunity to reset and reevaluate. We got together as a group, we walked through it, and we haven't looked back since. There's no negative connotation from Fundora at all. So the Tim Tszyu you see on Saturday night is a reinvigorated Tim Tszyu. Remember that he'd been about 7 years as a pro without a loss. And I sort of expected there would have been a little bit of collateral damage, but I was very surprised to see that he went home, rethought it, reset it, got the team together. We had a great time together, straightening out and getting basically reset to roll forward, and we've done that, mate. Very confidently moved forward. So yeah, he's a bit of a special athlete in that regard. He took that as an opportunity to rebuild rather than spend your time thinking about it in a negative way.
Big last 9 months for you and your team. You were scheduled to fight Keith Thurman. 13 and a half days, the phone rings, it's changed to Fundora, 6 foot sink, which is very, very hard to prepare for. Now you're fighting a come forward tough fighter, the world champion in 154 pound. What can you tell us about Bakhram Murtazaliev?
Oh look, we know from Bakhram, he's not a name that everybody associates with. He is a world champion, and he's a world champion for a reason. He won that belt and he won it legitimately. But he's not a name that jumps up as somebody that you can say, oh, I've seen him fight 10 times. Not many people have seen him fight at all. So go and have a look. He's a very big puncher. He likes to fight outside. He's not what I'd call a brawler, but he will exchange. But he's 6'1". He's another tall character for Tim. And we expect it to be another tough encounter, as they all are at this elite level. But nobody will tell you that's been in the ring with Tim Tszyu that they expected the pressure that Tim Tszyu brings. And that's, for me, is the ultimate equation for these guys, is they think, oh, Tim Tszyu this, Tim Tszyu that, but he doesn't give you a second to think or assess or react. Tim's there and makes and forces everything. And Murtazaliev is in for a rude shock with just how intense that pressure is.
What were your thoughts the other day? And he hasn't done a lot of media. We had a bit of media with him this morning and that, but he wants to come to the centre of the ring, Bakhram Murtazaliev, and try and mix it in the middle. Do you think that's a good idea for him, or do you think that he's actually going to do that, or was that just media talk?
It could be gamesmanship, mate. You know how it is in fight week. It's anything, the last-ditch effort to try and perhaps confuse your opponent. That doesn't happen with Tim. You focus on your own plan, you're going with your own plan, and you adapt and as you see what unfolds in front of you. So talk's wonderful. It helps hype the fight up a little bit, mate, but we don't put too much emphasis on it.
Moving forward, and every single team in camp look forward to this weekend and being successful. We were just speaking about it before offline. There's some massive names, and look, shout out to Al Heyman, Louis Takubas, the Premium Boxing Champions, Tom Brown, TGB. The big names are in your division. You know what I mean? What are some of the names that you, without disclosing, looking forward to do over the next 12 months?
I don't think it's hiding anything. It's common knowledge that the 154 is the red hot division. We've got great talent coming up from 147 to join that and make it so much stronger. But there's a list of them that are out there. You've got Erickson Lubin, you've got Jermell Charlo, you've got Terence Crawford, you've got Errol Spence, you've got Ramos, you've got Belichuk, you've got Madrimov, you've got Sebastian Fundora. There's 8 or 10 guys in a row. That's, if you fought all of them, that's 2 or 3 years. That's a huge commitment, but that's the red hot division, and I can tell you without a word of a lie, Tim Tszyu is expected and will, given the opportunity, take any one of those names. When and where it happens, well, that's a different management structure as to how we follow the roadmap, and that comes down to so many things, Nick, in relation to availability, titles, all of the stuff that comes into play. But I can tell you now, Tim Tszyu is not going to be sitting around waiting on reputation or waiting on rankings. Tim Tszyu will fight as often as he can, God willing, without injury, and that's always been our plan. We always work on a roadmap that's well in advance, and 2025 for Tim Tszyu is going to be a cracker.
Speaking back to roadmaps, Christmas Day of 2022, we woke up to some bad news of early in 23 that you were going to fight Jermell Charlo.
Yes.
He goes in and fights Canelo. People can have their opinion. He steps up 2-weight division. Without giving away too much, do you ever see that fight happening with Jermell? Because I would have loved it.
I think it's a funny question. I think that there's an element of us that would just love to do that fight for no other reason bar the fact that we were so close, and to have it taken from you, it's a little bit of, we want that back.
It was building.
It was building beautifully. It was building as, a super fight, and it warranted it at the time. But as you said, Jermell took the money, took the Canelo fight. Can't blame him for that, but disappeared literally off the face of the earth afterwards. And there was a question as to, is he finished? Where is he? What's he doing? Nothing's changed to this date. You get the odd little tease on social media that I'm back, I'm doing this, and then they go on again. So I'm certainly not going to put a lot of time and effort into that. Our promoters have my Christmas wish list, and Matty and Louis DeCubas and Al Heyman, they're literally all PBC fighters that are in the 154s. So there's great opportunities, and it should be a little easier to make some of those fights with that in mind. We have a great relationship with PBC, so expect that some of those names you will see Tim in with. As to who and when, I can't say.
You've always said to Tim and yourself, though, 2025, when you look at some of those names, you kind of see Tim when he does media, whether it's with ourselves or other channels, that he kind of grins when the name Charlo and Spence come up. Mm-hmm. Charlo's won when he was there in Casa, California. He won all the belts in it, and then Errol decided to say he was trash and all that sort of stuff. Out of all those names you listed, though, okay, you can speak for Glenn Jennings, but for Tim, would it be Charlo and Spence that he'd love to fight first?
Quite possibly. I mean, there's a desire for Charlo with Tim, without a doubt.
And then Spence straight after?
Why not? Why not? Who knows how it plays out, mate? And again, at this elite level, you would think that you could just say, yeah, let's do that. But as you well know, it's a fragile sport, like, and the negotiation and the art of the matchmaking is very difficult. And things happen, and circumstances blow up, and things get created to avoid fights, and fighters disappear. All of those things. So, we can have our ambitious wish list that we would love to do, and of course there are some smiles on some of them, but.
Tim does. He sort of smirks at it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he does.
He wants it.
He does. He's got his little favourites, of course. But I think Tim is also very much the sort of fighter that'll say, I don't care who stands opposite me in 154. Just tell me the time and the place, and I'll be there.
Well, he kind of proved it. 13 days out, you were preparing for Keith Thurman.
Unfazed. Completely unfazed. That morning, that phone call will sit with me forever. It was, okay, let's do it. It was not even it wasn't a discussion. Tim Tszyu's a very different beast. He has no fear. Now, that's not always necessarily a good thing in boxing, but in his case, he has the skill set and the ability to back up that no fear. And when you mix those two together and you can pull it off, that's scary.
So big fights to end out the year, yourself and Murtazaliev, which will kick off. And it is
It is a big fight.
It's a massive fight. And it's a big fight over here. For those who don't know, Tim kicked off Amazon Prime pay-per-view with Fundora. Obviously, Javante and Tank have done. Tank and Frank Martin did their thing. Canelo and Malanga across the year. But now Al and Amazon and the team go to free to air.
Yep.
And Tim's the first person ever to do that. Talk about the magnitude of eyeballs of how many people are actually going to be watching this, and the new probably sort of area that Tim Tszyu sort of taps into with this.
Oh, the linear shows free to air in the United States. If you just take Amazon's subscription,
Massive.
last I heard it's almost 300 million subscriptions.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone's going to watch boxing, but gee, even bloody 10% is an enormous volume of people that'll get an opportunity to see Tim Tszyu. And on the back of, I've been asked a couple of times, on the back of the Fundora fight, and as a manager, completely separately from the result of the fight, that inaugural Amazon Prime pay-per-view, Tszyu v Fundora, to get to do that special, but to get to do that and have a performance that was literally so engaging in every way. Forget the result just for a moment. If you were to say to me, is there a better way that I could have launched Tim Tszyu into the American market? No. The result we got and the fan base that we got and the followers that we got and the recognition that Tim Tszyu is not only a fighter but he's a warrior who's prepared to lay it all on the line.
Big time.
Blood and guts everywhere, fought with his eyes closed, all of that tells us that Tim Tszyu is... There's a reason why now Tim Tszyu is in every conversation about the 154s. So much better a launch than had Tim knocked Sebastian out in the second round, because they'd then still be saying, who's Tim Tszyu?
Right.
And it would have been a much slower build into the United States. We were blessed in a very sad set of circumstances that we lost the title, but we gained so much in another respect. And for Tim himself, his view is that, hey, I'm here in America. I've got this fan base. I feel it. He gets recognised on the street. Out today at the mall, people stopping photos.
Yeah.
You know, just we had a great little experience this morning with a highway patrol officer who drove in from another county to meet Tim.
I thought he was here to meet you.
No, not at all, mate. Not at all.
He recognised you though.
Yeah, he did, which is nice.
No,
he
he
just
actually
came straight
did.
in and said hello. He's a lovely guy, but those are the sort of things that really tell you that, hey, we got something happening in America. Tim is part of just about every conversation about the 154s, and I think there's a general expectation the Americans want to see Tim Tszyu. So we can't complain about that. So we're in a great place. We're situated beautifully. No Limits are doing a great job for us with Al and Louis, and we're very, very grateful to Al Heyman and Louis DeCubas for all of the opportunities they've given us, and of course the Rose brothers who worked tirelessly with me in the background to get these fights for Tim. So the expectation is wonderful. I think the achievement is wonderful, and I think the entertainment's going to be fantastic Saturday night and through the end of 2024 and 2025.